Hey guys, Dr. Anthony Mattis here, Talk to the Entities Facilitator. So, how do you know when a deceased relative is talking to you? Well, I want to share a story, a time in my life long before I took to Talk to the Entities classes and decided to be a facilitator and facilitate these amazing tools, which, by the way, were created by Shannon O'Hara. And So it's over 10 years ago. My wife, the children of my mother, the mother of my children, had committed suicide. Okay, she had suffered from bipolar on and off since she was 17 years old. She decided to leave the planet when she was 30, and that wasn't a fun time, needless to say. And so so I was in so for the first year I was in an intense state of grieving, if you will, or more like space of grieving. I was kind of shocked. It wasn't something that I thought she was going to choose. At that time in her life, the kids were only 10, 8, and 2.5. And it was something that she was actually really adamantly opposed to doing because her mother had done it about 8 years prior. But her mother had been struggling for like 30 years. And then that's a whole nother story for another day. I don't want to get into that right now. So when she passed on, it's like, here I am, single father, raising three little kids. And I was in shock. Okay. And I didn't know anything about access consciousness. And I certainly didn't know anything about talk to the entities. But I remember literally talking to God and be like, God, for someone who has studied so many different healing therapies, healing techniques, metaphysics to breath work to psychic healing to non-denominational Christianity, praying in tongues, sound healing, color therapy, breath work, you name it, gurus. Ugh, I've been all over the place. It's crazy. That's a whole nother topic for another day too. It's like a whole nother lifetime of just trying to find my way and create a reality beyond this reality, because I always knew that there was something actually more available, but just didn't know how to quite access it. So it was a long struggle, a long journey, just to have a mediocre life. And then all of a sudden, boom, I'm dealing with this suicide, and I'm a widower at the age of 41. Not fun. So, you know, so it's like knowing what I know now as a talk to the entities facilitator, and I've been one for the last 4 years and access conscious facilitator for 7 years. Um, Here I am. I'm dealing with this tragedy, basically, and I'm in this like beyond moment, like of my life, where it was like total shock. It was like, for me, time stood still. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you. It's like time stands still for you because you're in the shock, but at the same time you can perceive the world and the universe moving and creating. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, it just goes on with or without you. And it's like, it doesn't matter if time's standing still for you, because it's still, it's moving, doing its thing. And I'm like, that was such an interesting awareness. And I had nobody to talk to about that. And it was really weird. So here I am, it's like you deal with the holidays and all that different things show up. But one of the things that we teach in Access, one of the first things I learned in the Access Conscious the Bars class is like, what if 99% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to you? When I first heard that, I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? I had this thing happen to me. I had this tragedy. I'm raising three kids alone and trying to run a business and keep things going, right? And keeping the insanity from trickling down into the children. And how can you say that 99% of my thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't belong to me? So it's like, at first I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. But to back up, I remember, and then also to say, like, when you have things going on, like in your mind, let's say if you got some cray going on, depression, anxiety, whatever, just freak out. or you have body stuff going on. One of the other questions we teach in Access is to ask, who does this belong to? Okay. And if 99% of it doesn't belong to you, then you're kind of left with two choices. It's either someone else's or something else. Okay. Now, with regards to someone else's, it's either someone with a body or someone without a body. Okay. I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit. So just I'm hoping that you're able to sort of follow. So here we are, the first year of my late wife's passing. Okay. I did not have these tools. And I remember, I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm doing Christmas like traditionally. That's going to be way too depressing. I'm like, I'm out of here. So um, the kids' mom and I, we used to love going to Disney World. Okay. So I'm like, I said to the kids, like, what do you guys think about going to Disney World for Christmas? I don't want to do the tree. I don't want to just be just dad and the kids. And so they're like, yeah, that would be so much fun. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go to Disney World for Christmas. And it was amazing. The minute we got in the car, and their mom, she loved going on road trips. She loved going to amusement parks. She loved going to Disney World, especially. She loved reggae music. In fact, she played it all the time when she was pregnant with our first son. And the minute we got into the car, driving to Disney World, I swear to you, reggae music pops on. I was like, I never listened to this station. I'm always listening like to sports talk radio at the time. I don't so much anymore, but back then I did. And all of a sudden reggae music pops on. I was like, very interesting. And then about 5 minutes later, 11:11 shows up. And she was always fascinated with the whole 11:11 thing. And the kids were like, Dad, look, 11:11, mom's here. And I'm like, whoa. So in that moment, like I could have been sad, but I wasn't. We were excited. We're going to Disney World. But I was like, holy shit, she's here. She's here. And she's excited that this is what we're choosing. Now, keep in mind, I did not have the talk to entities tool at that time. But knowing what I know now, I'm like, but then I was like, yeah, she's excited. And then sure enough, as soon as we get there, we walk into I don't know, a souvenir shop, and literally there were t-shirts with people's names on it, and the first one we see is one that says Jessica on it. And I'm like, oh my God, she's here. And the kids saw it too. They're like, Dad, look. They're like, mom's here again. And so it was like, oh my God. So you don't even have to take the talk to the entities tools to know that your deceased loved ones are around you. Okay. Let's take it a step further. What if your body could tell you that your deceased loved ones are around you? For example, what if you actually started having, like, I don't know, stomach pain? And maybe your grandmother or grandfather passed away of stomach cancer. Or maybe they were like had digestive problems all the time. You know what I mean? They didn't necessarily die of anything regarding the stomach, but like while they were alive, they always complained about their stomach hurting. So all of a sudden your stomach's hurt, right? And you're just going about your day like, why does my stomach hurt? I didn't need anything bad. Well, in Access, and we ask you, who does this belong to? Someone else's or something else. Remember, 99% of the time, it's not yours, right? I know this might sound hokey for those of you out there, so just don't bother listening anymore. It's okay. I'm not talking to you guys anyway. I'm talking to the other people who have a knowing that this information has never been presented to you before. Okay. And it can actually set you free and answer a lot of freaking questions that you haven't been able to quite maybe access or wrap your head around, because there's nowhere in this world that actually has this type of information. So it's truly a gift. And it was a prayer answered for me. So what if you're like, who does this belong to? Someone with a body or without a body? Oh, it's without a body. Well, how do you know? Boom. The first thing that pops, just go with it and see what happens. Got nothing to lose. Someone without a body. Well, who had stomach pain that you know? Grandma. Oh my God, Grandma, you here? Holy shit, she's here. And then what happens from there is, and talk to the entity beginners class, you actually learn how to clear grandma, communicate with grandma, receive from grandma, because sometimes the relatives aren't going to leave until they've been able to gift you something energetically, or maybe they want something from you. Maybe they have a message for you personally, or maybe for one of your other relatives that they would like you to pass on. Now, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, especially if those other relatives can't receive that information. So you don't have to do anything they tell you to do. Okay. It's up to you. It's totally your choice. But these are the things that we begin to explore in the Talk to the Entities beginners class, where, you start to recognize, and look, it's not just your relatives that are hanging around you either. Okay. You have other beings that are hanging around you because they know that you're aware and they're looking for something usually. Okay, they either want to gift something, maybe take something, or want you to facilitate them. You just have to really be in the question and learn these amazing tools, so you're not at the effect of their presence, really. And I kind of talked about that in a previous video that I did, because when we run away or try to hide from our awareness, they'll just push harder and harder and harder, and it hurts. And yes, it will show up like symptoms. But the minute we have something going on with our body, the minute we have something going on with our mind, cuckoo, cuckoo, whatever it is, you want to ask, who does this belong to? Your relatives will give you signs. Sometimes the lights will flicker. I must have changed 3 light bulbs in my house after their mom died. And I'm like, what the freak is going on? And then when I was like, Jessica, is that you? It stopped. And I was like, whoa. And then around the holidays, I would get really, really, really depressed, which is a common thing for people who are still alive when they've lost a loved one. But what if the depression that you're feeling belongs to them? What if they're actually sad that they still don't have a body anymore? That they can't be with you physically, to touch you, to smell you, to maybe say something to you that they wish they would have said when they had a body? What if the sadness that you're perceiving is their sadness? What if the anxiety that you're perceiving is their anxiety? See, we were taught that once you pass on, well, I mean, depending on if you're an atheist and you weren't taught shit, but if you have the point of view, if you have this religious background, you get to go to heaven if you did your good deeds. Hopefully, God forgives you if you weren't so perfect, blah, blah, blah. And then you're rejoicing with the Lord, yada, 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 right? What if that wasn't totally accurate? What if you take yourself wherever you go, even when you leave your body? So if you were sad when you left, what makes you think all of a sudden you're going to be happy? I know this conversation is going to piss off a lot of people, and I don't really care. Because the day that we buried their mother, I remember the pastor saying, she's rejoicing with the Lord. I was like, what? What? Rejoicing with the Lord? Wait a second. She just killed herself, 30 years of age. She's got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old son and a 2.5-year-old daughter that she said she couldn't wait till she became a teenager so she could impart all this amazing wisdom and raise her to be a beautiful young woman. And her 2 little boys just dug a hole to put her ashes in. And you're telling me she's rejoicing with the Lord? This was, again, before I took these entity classes, right? That was the first time I was like, I don't get that that's an accurate statement. I was pissed. And in that moment, I was sad too, because I could perceive her sadness. She was there because I was sad, but it wasn't my sadness. It was her sadness because she's like, this is not what I thought my choice was going to create. And I was aware of that. I'm saying this in this way now because of taking the talk to the entity tools. I'm now acknowledging what I was actually aware of, but I had to keep that a secret. I couldn't tell anybody that that's what I was aware of. That would have been blasphemy. So the next time you're struggling with thoughts, feelings, and emotions or stuff with your body, what if it's one of your deceased loved ones hanging around? And in the Talk to the Entities Beginners class, we begin to explore how to work with that, how to clear them, how to facilitate consciousness for them. I know now without a shadow of a doubt, she's been with me in just about all of the Access Conscious classes that I've attended, and I know she's gotten the healing. How? Came to me in my dreams. I don't care if it sounds crazy. My dreams have always been very prophetic. Always. Okay. Didn't start out that way though. In the early days after her passing, she was sick in all the dreams. So it's like, what do you know that you're not willing to acknowledge? And if you were willing to acknowledge it, would not only set you free, it would set your deceased relatives free as well. Anyhow, I hope that helped. And I really do look forward to seeing you someday in person soon. And bye for now.